excited today because we are going to have a guest speaker for our service. And so some of you might have seen it on the newsletter, but I want to introduce here our guest speaker. Osvaldo Castro will be preaching God's word here today. And so Osvaldo was converted into Christ in the campus ministry in Mexico City in 1996. That's a long time ago. Some of y'all weren't born. Some of y'all, you were veterans in 1996. And so he's been married to Isabel in 2000, and they have two twin girls who are 11 years old. They moved to Los Angeles in 2006. They have led different ministries here in the Los Angeles church as well in Mexico City. They actually started the Spanish ministry in the West region of the Los Angeles church in 2009. And recently, Osvaldo is an author. And he wrote the book, The Second Violin, in 2021. It's available not only in English, but in Spanish and in French. Yeah, that's big time right there when you get to French. You know what I'm saying? And so it also has the audio version available as well. He'll be able to talk about that. And they currently lead a portion of the Spanish ministry over in our Lifeway region of our Los Angeles churches. So we're in for a real treat today to hear from Osvaldo. He's become a friend of mine over the last couple of years, and really appreciate his heart, his faith, and not only his heart for God and his faith, but his heart for all of God's people. And so that's one thing that comes across, is that he has a love for all of God's people, whether they're local, whether he knows them or not. He has a deep love for all of you. And as I mentioned even to me before, how much he prays as also for us here in Orange County. And so right now we're going to have a little quick video that's going to segue into Osvaldo. Please, as soon as he gets up, please give Osvaldo a huge round of applause to welcome him here to OC. Amen? Amen. Amen. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Good morning, everyone. Well, my name is Osvaldo Castro. Thank you so much, Marcel. It's a pleasure. And what you saw is one of the amazing pieces in classical music. I am not a musician, so this is not about music. I cannot distinguish do from a fa. I have no idea. I don't know. But I just know that I love music. And that portion is, for all of you who know a little bit about classical music, that's a portion of the Four Seasons from Antonio Vivaldi. And it's the piece called Summer, the third movement, and it's amazing. And that gentleman is Nigel Kennedy. It's a great, great, great violinist and musician, and it's with a small orchestra. But I don't know if you noticed something, but the energy, the passion, the coordination. Every time I've seen that video, and I have preached this lesson dozens of times, and I've seen that video hundreds of times, and every time when he goes like dun dun dun, I want to jump and I want to go like this, and the guy who's playing and then goes like this, like everybody masters whatever they are doing, and it's something called harmony. Harmony refers to the positive inner state of peace, calmness, and balance, as well as the feeling of being in tune with the world, in this case, with the orchestra. And my name is Osvaldo. I wrote this little book based on many, many, many frustrations, many experiences. And in this world, in this society that we live, there is something that is very particular, especially in the U.S. We just had the Olympics. And the U.S. won pretty much everything, a lot. So have you heard the phrase Altius, Faultius, Siltius? It's what they use in the Olympics to describe the highest, the stronger, and the fastest. And the U.S., that's what they want to do. Have you ever heard the phrase, or the end of the phrase, win is everything? That's something that for most of the mentality of the people, and it also translates when we talk about church, comes to our minds. You have to be the first. You have to be the one in charge. You have to be the person that everybody's looking after. And many years ago, in this idea of the second violin came with an interview that they made to one of the great conductors, Leonard Bernstein, who recently they did a movie. But I thought about this in probably 2005. That's how long this idea had been incubating in my heart, in my mind. And then in an interview, they asked to the maestro Bernstein, what is the most difficult instrument to feel in a symphony or in your symphony? And the immediate response was the second violin. I can always find formidable first violins, but finding someone who is willing to play second is the most difficult. And if nobody plays second, there is simply no harmony. And it talks about the importance of understanding our role and the place where we are at. Many times, I don't know if that's the same feeling that you have had, but many times I have felt left out. This is my beautiful family, Isabel, my twin daughters, Ariadna and Liliana, 11 years old. But for 5 years before they came to this world, we were battling infertility. And in the Mexican culture, not having kids is not easy. It's like, what? You just see a Latina and she gets pregnant, so what's wrong with you? And it was hard. It was so difficult. And after many, 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 many nights praying and crying, God gave me the wonderful and incredible miracle of now having my daughters 11 years old, going to 6th grade, and having so many things that I never dreamed about. And that inspired me to continue writing and continue expressing my feelings, my emotions in a different way. I've always, I'm the second one of 6. We're three brothers, 3 sisters. And, it's not always easy when you're the second one. Who's the middle child here? Raise your hand. Okay, who's the oldest child? You have to be the example. Isn't that the thing that they tell you all the time? You have to be the example because everybody's following. The middle one kind of get a pass, and the little one is who? The favorite. Hey, somebody say he's the favorite. Probably. Well, what I want to talk about this morning, and again, thank you so much, is about what it's in this book. This book is not about me. This book is about a lot of characters, to be specific, 9 chapters, 8 specific characters that, talk about situations and characters that are not exactly the main characters in the Bible. So I'm going to do this experiment that I do every time. Just think about your favorite character in the Bible. Who's your favorite character in the Bible? Who's the one that inspires you the most? And just say it loud. I want to hear you. David. Paul. Jesus, of course. Who else? Deborah. Who else? Esther. You know, Ruth. Amazing. Fantastic. You see, all these main characters, and you can talk about David, Paul, Timothy, and I have done this experiment a lot. And everybody talks about these main characters. You know, when you hear a preacher talking about Moses, talking about Elijah, talking about, Paul, Peter, even many of my friends, sometimes they feel, oh, you know what, somebody told me that I probably have the convictions or the character of Peter. You know, so strong, emotional sometimes. But, I feel like Peter. Well, have you ever heard about the things that these guys did? And I'm going to talk just really, really, really fast about these guys. But the book is based on the life of these characters. That, normally, you hear them, but they are not the main focus of, for example, a sermon like today. You talk about Aaron. Who was Aaron? He was the older brother of Moses. But in the ancient culture, the older brother had the responsibility to guide, to lead, and he was overseen. And he was passed by his brother Moses, who, by the way, was living like a prince. Run away. He never had to suffer anything. He never had to go through anything. And God decided that Moses was the one who was going to lead the exodus of his people. And Aaron, according to God, he was well-spoken. Pretty much he was strong. But he was not the chosen one. Talking about Leah. Do you know who Leah was? Yeah, the second wife. He was the second wife, but was the first sister of Rachel. And she was overseen. And she was given in a deceitful way by Laban. Because, we said in Mexico, hermana saltada, hermana quedada. So we said if you, kind of pass the oldest, she's going to stay there, so we need to give her away. And that's what Laban did. So can you imagine in her heart, feeling the sadness of not being loved, but being just giving away because otherwise she's not going to be the chosen one. Caleb was the second in command with Joshua, but he was the only one of all the other 12, along with Joshua, who were strong, and God made a promise to Caleb. We are going to receive all this land in inheritance, and he had to wait years and years and years. And you don't hear anything else about Caleb. Rahab, do you know who Rahab was? Was a prostitute. Have you ever heard a sermon about Rahab being inspiring? Has anyone told you, hey, you have a faith like Rahab? You don't hear those things. Oh, you know what? Your life reminds me, or your faith reminds me the faith of Rahab. What? Probably you're feeling insulted. Maybe. Hannah, the mother of Samuel, a woman who was destined to be infertile and not having kids, and that crying, and her crying was so deep, so painful that even Eli thought that she was drunk. Jonathan, we see Jonathan as the friend of David, but Jonathan was the prince. Jonathan was the second in command of the whole kingdom. Lawfully, he was the righteous successor of the king. He could have fought for his right to be the second, the prince, but he decided to give that up for David because he trusted that God was the one who chose him. John the Baptist, the one who knew Jesus since they were babies in the womb. And he died in a way that, pretty much started the ministry. He was famous, and then he was decapitated. And many of us just see John like, the Christ in the desert. John Mark. Who? Who's this guy? Who's this guy, John Mark? Well, according to many guys, he was one of the many who went on the first missionary trip with Paul and Barnabas. And he was a relative of Barnabas, but he abandoned the mission. And you don't hear a lot of things about him, but we're going to hear a lot about what he did. So, what is this book about? Why am I presenting this to you? And I'm very thankful. As an orchestra, each member, each one of you have a very unique and a very important role, and you're indispensable to create rhythm, harmony, and melody. Without you, we don't have an orchestra. Without you, we don't have a church. Without you, we don't have this ministry. So each one of us plays a unique and essential role. Whether you decide to be, a greeter or usher, someone who comes here, the guys in the sound that pretty much many times are the forgotten ones, but when anything goes wrong here, the first ones to be blamed probably. But everybody and everything is essential for your role. Even you as a father, as a mother, you're so essential for your family. The things you do, the things you provide. So the Second Violin, my book, it's a call to the renewal of the spirit of surrender, love, and selfless service, only for the glory of God. Sounds good, huh? However, many times it's not easy to accept either the place or the role where we have to serve or play in the orchestra. Have you ever felt like you're underappreciated? Raise your hand with me. I have felt that. And if I could do this. Have you felt like, oh man, I'm wasting my talent? All these years, I became a disciple in 1996. I was 20 years old. So you can guess how many years I'm now. So 1996, 20 years old. I've been married for 24 years, going to 25. And sometimes, even with all those blessings, I feel like, why has God forsaken me? Why I'm not in a different place? Why I'm not shining? Why I'm not doing better financially? Why I'm not doing better spiritually? Why I'm not in charge of this or that? Why I'm not more important? And that, for many years, caused a lot of pain in my heart. And I don't know where you are at right now, but I'm pretty sure that at one point everybody has felt the same. Like, are you feeling underappreciated, disrespected? Like nobody takes you seriously, like they are wasting your talent? Everything we do here, our relationships, the interactions, have a profound impact in the short, medium, and long term. The way we react when we are not the main actors affects completely the way we serve others. Have you ever been in the position where you say something, hey, hello, how are you? And the other person probably didn't see you, didn't respond, didn't greet you the way you were expecting? What's the feeling? In the Latino culture, it's like, ¿qué se cree? No? Le vuelvo a hablar. And that's pretty common. So those feelings are there. How to maintain the desire to give ourselves wholeheartedly and keep the confidence that God is in control of everything when things don't go on, do not turn as we hope. How do you do that? How do you do that? Probably many of you have dreams. Maybe what Jean was sharing was fantastic. I felt like we need to close this. What she did in the communion was fantastic. Surrendering, she was surrendered to God's will, hopes, dreams, and coming from probably a destroyed background, and now having hope, and now sharing her feelings. Probably without God, I'm sure without God, she wouldn't be here. She wouldn't have what she has. And you are a miracle. You are special. God chose you for a reason. Whether you're a visitor, whether you've been a long-time member, God has a purpose. But sometimes it's not easy to find our purpose. Now, by my accent, you can tell I was not born in the USA. I was not. I learned English when I was 18 years old. So that's why it's so thick sometimes. That's why I have problems with words. And that's why many, many, many years ago I felt so insecure. Like they're laughing at me because I couldn't distinguish the Y from the J, because I couldn't pronounce this or that word. It made me so insecure. And many times, thinking about coming to the English ministry and do something like this or writing was a crazy dream. But you know what? I found that God is a God that never forgets. Okay. He's an amazing God. And in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10 to 11 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him, as you have helped his people and continue to help them. We want each of you to show this same diligence to the very end in order to make your hope sure. Do you feel like nobody thinks about you, that no one cares about you? Guess what? God cares about you. And God never and will never forget what you're doing and what you have done for others, just for his glory. That's the power of God. And he's hoping that we can understand that, embrace it, go and fight for his glory. But what happens when there's no harmony? You know, our churches all around the world have gone through a lot of transitions, a lot of problems. Sometimes it's not easy to be in a ministry. Sometimes it's not easy to be a minister. I am not a full-time minister, but I'm a full-time disciple.
All right, come on.
And what I decided many years ago is, I don't care. I'm just going to serve. I'm going to love. I'm going to give my best. And I'm going to hope that one day I can see Jesus face to face and he will say, well done. Yeah. That's all I want. But what happened when there's no harmony? What happened when the musician, can you imagine for a moment, Dallas, I saw Dallas and I met Dallas in Lifeway. He was so small. And now he has this deep voice, so I get scared, like, wow, what happened? What changed? I didn't recognize him. But can you imagine if in this beautiful setting there was no harmony? Our brother from the drums just decided to go, I don't know, Ringo Starr and doing his thing. And then the other one on the bass, he goes all Foo Fighters and da-da-da. I don't know. It will be crazy. He decides to be Mr. Paul McCartney just out of nowhere. It will be crazy. And, you know, what do you do when the orchestra, this beautiful Orange County ministry, which you are part of, is not what you expected or what you dreamed of? Oh, man, I remember those years. Wow. Have you ever said that? Oh, I remember when we were. Oh, man, old school, the OGs. Oh, man. I remember. What is your attitude when you face differences of opinion? Something that I love about our churches, even with their imperfections, is that it doesn't matter if you are black, if you are white, if you are yellow, if you are red, if you are brown, if you are blue, if you are red, if you vote this, you vote that. What matters is Christ. And that's the center of everything. But what do you do in your heart? What decisions do you make when you feel undervalued, overshadowed, or just ignored? How do you react when those who are supposed to take care of you, help you, and guide you to Christ, hurt you? Oh, that brother, that sister, that thing he or she said. Even in the family. You know, one of the most difficult places to be at peace many times is the family. The resentfulness, being bitter, like he or she did that. And many of us carry that all over the way, all over these years. Let me show you something that I'm pretty sure you're going to find funny. Look at the back. And the orchestra continues playing. Do you see what happened? Poor guy, he doesn't know what to do. Do I say sorry? And you know what? Many times, life and this orchestra is like that. The guys in the front, they didn't even notice. They were watching whom? They were looking at the director. And the director saw that, but they have a piece to complete. So that made me understand something. The world is not going to stop for our pain. The world moves, but God does. And many times, we can come to this place and be all smiles, but sad inner. An inner sad that maybe you have a bad morning, you have a bad week, you feel resentful towards someone, you feel bitter, you feel underappreciated, but you come to church, open the door, brother, how are you? You come late and you leave early because you don't want to be seen by anyone. You're just fulfilling your duty of becoming here, a presence, a person who's sitting here, but you can be so bitter and so detached from everyone else. Many times I've been like that. My worst sin probably being radioactive, and it's not the Imagine Dragon song. It's being radioactive. You know that radioactivity is good, under control. That's why we have x-rays. That's why we can see and doctors can detect cancer and some other diseases because of x-rays. So under control, radioactivity is revealing, is wonderful, is very helpful. But when it's out of control, it becomes a Chernobyl, a Hiroshima, a place of devastation. And many times, I cannot tell you how many, I was like that, and I've been like that. Oh, I want to tell the truth, I don't care. I'm going to tell that person exactly what I think, and he's going to have a piece of my mind because I say what I think. And sometimes we don't have filter. And I cannot tell you how many times I have hurt people just thinking that way. And I think this is one of my biggest and most terrible sins. You know, I grew up in Mexico City. I became a disciple there. From the first moment I thought when I became a Christian, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to be the man in charge. And I think that many of the mistakes of the church at that time is that they made you believe that you have to be in a top position to be someone. Oh, he's the leader of so. Oh, wow, welcome. Who are you? What do you lead? What's the first thing that they used to ask? And I thought, well, I need to be a man of conviction, tell everyone what I feel, what wrong they're doing, and if they tell me something, I'm going to tell them, your faith is weak. And I became like this horrible figure of someone who could not understand them. And I realized, you know, how I grew up in my house with a figure like that. My father used to say, you do it because I said so. And it's not wrong to say that. But I didn't have the opportunity to appeal. Because immediately, Papa! And spiritually speaking, I was like that. Someone was trying to tell me something with the Bible. Oh yeah? Let me show you another one. Boom! Take that, huh? How you like me now? And it was horrible. And many of the dreams that I apparently was not fulfilling, in my view, made me someone radioactive. And it wasn't until I decided I need to surrender and to find healing and to be open. Whether accidentally, intentionally I hurt someone, I have had the opportunity to make peace, to apologize. I have twin daughters, and they have been an amazing gift from God because they put me in my place. Like, Daddy, don't yell at me. Don't raise your voice. Just tell me what you need and I'll do it. Oh my gosh. And they do a lot of things that I never thought I would be able to react in a way I do. Just for love, for care. Somebody the other day asked me, how are you doing with your book? And I said, well, you know, now it's in English, Spanish, and French. I had an interview with the editor yesterday, and he said, oh man, you must be selling thousands of books. And I said, no, I'm not a well-known, I'm not a recognized voice or writer. Nobody cares about me. They don't know my name, and that's fine. You know what? Because if only one person reads the book and feels like it makes a difference, that's fine. And he told me, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Oh man, I don't know if I will be able to do that because hey, it's time. Time is money. You know, when we have that mentality that we need to get something for everything we do, I feel that we miss the spiritual perspective. That's my feeling. And you know what? I have learned to be more is more important than to do. To be is more important than just to do. Philippians 2:14-15 says, do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky. I used to think, I need to do a lot of things. If I do a lot of things, I'm in charge of this or that. I was in charge of 5, 6, 7 ministries. Singing, greeting, communion, preaching, hope, And it's not that you don't have to be involved. It's just that I was feeling like the more I do, the better I become. The more I do, the more important, the more I'm going to shine. And I was getting bitter because I had no recognition, because it was a selfish desire. And it says, do everything without grumbling and arguing. That's how we do things. What about home? What do you tell your kids? Go and wash the dishes. Yes, Father. Yes, Mother. Clean your room. Oh, Father, thank you for reminding me that. The first thing that you hear is what? Why? And now when God is telling you, forgive, forget, be unselfish. Yes, Father, that's what I'm going to do. Why? Don't you see the preacher? Don't you see that guy? Don't you see this person? And we try to shine with our own light instead of the light of the Holy Spirit. Because we have a selfish ambition. Be careful. Matthew 6:1 says, be careful not to do acts of righteousness in front of others, to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. Our true value is being one with God in private, rather than in doing in the sight of all. And I'm not saying that you don't have to do anything. I'm saying that your expectation of receiving an applause or your satisfaction personally shouldn't come from the people, but from God. Whatever He gives you as an extra is an extra. But that's not the meaning of what we do. But when you do things just because you want to be the man or the woman in charge, that's really, really, really difficult and really hard. And talking about hard, I have learned, and through these examples in the book, that it's better to have a heart before a position. And by that, I mean the heart is very important for God. Around 830 times. 830 times the word or the phrase heart is mentioned in the Bible. That tells you how important. In the heart is the intellect, the will, the appetites, the senses, the emotions, passions, and everything harmonized and blended together. So if you don't have your heart in the right position, everything around you is going to be very, very messed up. And the reminder of this is this beautiful, beautiful interaction of Jesus with the disciples. Yeah, because they also had problems understanding what was the heart or what was the right heart. It says in Mark 9:33-35, they came to Capernaum when he was in the house. He asked them, Jesus asked them, what are you arguing about on the road? And I can imagine them like kids. But they kept quiet because on the way they had argued about who was the greatest. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, anyone who wants to be the first must be the very last and servant of all. What were you arguing about? What are we arguing about? Who's first? Who's more important? And these questions were so revealing to me, and I hope that you can take a time to think about those. But do you feel more important than others? This is not just about Christianity, it's about our lives. Do you see others with disdain? Oh, these guys. Oh, that guy drives like a lunatic. And there's no better driver than you when you're in your car. Have you felt like that? I have, and it's horrible. Do you only serve when it's convenient for you? Now, I know Marcel talked about being ushers. I know this is a great region that serves. But, Friday, no, it's not that convenient, NFL is about to start, so I need to get ready. I don't know, La Vuelta a España is also, cycling. Are you a cyclist? No, but I like to watch. So, I don't know, so many things. But do you serve when it's only convenient? Do you live with bitterness or resentment for not being acknowledged by the things you do or did? Oh, this region, I have done so much, and they don't even know my name. They don't even recognize me. Where is my recognition? Have you felt like that? I felt like that. You know, Marcel talked a little bit, my wife and I, we helped to build the El Mensaje, the Spanish ministry that now is El Mensaje. And we did it, and when it was, growing and everything, they decided, oh, you know what, this ministry needs a full-time couple. We've been working. Yeah, we're going to bring someone from another region. What? I wish I could tell you, I took it so well, I took it so bad. But I was like, okay. And it was horrible. Horrible. I was like smoke in the eyes. Like really bad. Like he said something, oh, that's not the right word in Spanish. I don't know why he pronounced that. I don't know why he's teaching that. I don't know. I know that when we were there, we were growing. So now what? And it was so horrible, horrible, horrible that I have to apologize, to ask for forgiveness so many times. My wife told me, hey, you need to give up. You need to calm down. You're so bitter. And I remember a couple from Mexico that they loved me so much. We were there, and it was like, you know what? It's unfair. We've been working, bam, 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 and this brother, bam, 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 bam. And she told me, you know what? Do you know the story of Job when he comes and he's having all these issues, and then God says, oh, look, Job, he's amazing. He's a fantastic man. And then Satan pretty much comes and says, oh, yeah, he has everything because you have given him everything. Just take away that, and then he's going to blame you. He's going to curse you. And she said, you have nothing good to say about others. You're being like that serpent. How dare you? But that was true. I was so bitter. I was so bad. And I have to understand, do I want to be useful or just being important? What do I want to do? What do you want to do in your house? You want to be useful or you want to be important? I'm the man of the house, so just respect me. Are you loving? Are you caring? Well, I'm providing for the food and everything else, so they need to respect me. I don't wash dishes because I'm the man. I don't know. Maybe it's not like that. Who knows? But are you giving your whole heart in kindness, in love, in tenderness, communication? When what we do may not seem, and this is very deep for me, because right now you might be thinking, what I'm doing, it doesn't matter. No, what you do, it matters. Because it may not seem to have an immediate impact, but you need to remember that you are leaving a legacy for future generations. For these little kids, for the teens that now are in another room receiving a lesson. You are setting the tone for them. You are planting for them. You are seeding for them. You are doing everything for them, because in 20 years probably we are not going to be here. I hope we are, but we might not. I'm not getting any younger. Probably 30 more years. I hope 40. I don't know. But what type of church do I want to see? Do I always want to be the man in charge? No. What I'm doing right now makes a big impact. One of my daughters told me the other day and made me cry. She said, oh, Dad, your book, I'm going to keep one copy in English, French, and Spanish. They are fluent in 3 languages. And she said, because, one day when I have kids, I'm going to show them what his grandpa did. And I started crying. Crying. And I just gave her a hug. And I was thinking, what I'm doing right now, they see that. And that's the type of man that they are going to fall in love. And that's what I pray. The type of man that you are going to build so he can marry someone else's daughter. Mentoring, serving, loving, giving. You're doing that for future generations. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about others. And when we do that, we grow as a church, we grow as a society, we do something different. Every stumble, every setback, every problem is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to mature. Don't waste your pain. This is an amazing phrase that our late Gloria Bird used to say. You feel sad, you've been mistreated, you have this pain, you have this issue. Don't waste it. Use it. Because what you are going through, someone else is going to go through in the future, and you are going to be there to help them, to show them how God helped you. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste it. Embrace it. Learn. Forgive. Forget. Learn to enjoy being a second violin. I know not many of you are going to be able to preach here ever. And you know what? That's okay. I know I'm not going to be able to preach in all the regions, and that's okay. Because when we do this, when we think, when we feel, or what we think, what we feel, what we say, and what we do is in total harmony with the Word of God, it's going to flourish. You can think one thing and say other. Have you ever done that? You can think and say the right thing, but do the wrong. So it has to be like in equilibrium, in perfect harmony. So do you want to know what happened with those guys who were nowhere, or sometimes are nowhere seen in the Bible? Well, Aaron became the first priest. So the second brother in command became the first priest. Leah became the mother of Judah, the tribe of the Messiah, the unloved one, the one that was given as a, consolation prize, because otherwise she's not going to get married. Here, she gave birth to 6 kids, and one of them was Judah, the tribe of the Messiah. Caleb, do you feel like you have waited for rewards or to see things? Caleb had to wait 40 years to see the promise, and he went and fought for that. He didn't receive it just, here it is. No, he went and he fought. You're going to see in the book if you take the time to read it. Rahab, she was the great-great-great-grandmother of King David, a prostitute, a woman with no future, a woman with no expectations. Hannah became the mother of the prophet Samuel, the last judge. Isn't that amazing? Jonathan, he surrendered his royalty in favor of the chosen king. He was the first one to give up his rights for someone else. Are you willing to give up your rights for someone else's glory? John the Baptist, he prepared the path for the Messiah. And John Mark. John who? John Mark. From quitter to writer of the first gospel. The Gospel of Mark, many of the scholars agreed that was written by Mark as an scribe for Peter. And do you know what Peter and Mark have in common? They both betrayed someone. And that shows you how God acts in an amazing way. Even when you feel empty, even when you feel unworthy, even when you have failed, even when you have made mistakes, even when you have sins that you feel like, this is unforgiven, God has the power to redeem you, to heal you, and to use you in a powerful way. And that's the God we serve. And finally, one of the chapters at the end is that the last will be first. And it's an amazing example of how God sees you and sees me and gives us opportunities that we never thought we could have. So for all of you, my brothers and sisters, my friends, 1 Corinthians 15:58 says, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." It's not in vain what you do. God sees that. God takes that into consideration, and He values you more than you can think about. As I said, at the beginning, I have the privilege to have these 3 versions of my book: an audiobook, it's an ebook, a printed. I'm going to have some copies on the outside if you want to take one. If not, just take a look later. If you have Hoopla, like it's a system for public libraries, just sign in, look for it. It's free for 21 days. You don't have to wait. I just want you to read it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to make an impact. And finally, I want to close with this phrase, this quote that says, "Do not shine, or don't shine so others can see you. Shine so that through you others can see Him." It's for the glory of God. It's not for ourselves. It's for Him. And the more we understand that, the more we do, the happier and the more alive that we are going to feel. I want to just thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Marcelo, again. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you feel moved in your heart, inspired to understand that God has a purpose for you, and that you are amazing, and that God sees everything you do for His glory. Amen.